In tonight's main event, one half of the tag team champions Ethan Page battles Rey Fenix, who has a new attitude lately. Can he win solo after losing alongside Dragon Lee when the titles were on the line? Plus, Dario Cueto's monsters Matanza and Muertes return to the temple and are in tag team action. And Kathy Kelly sits down with the Pope D'Angelo Dinero. We also hear from the new Lucha Underground champion Chad Gable, and our Jefe The Undertaker makes an offer to Samoa Joe, but what will Joe want in return? This is episode 18 of the revival of Lucha Underground, Kidnap Pro Quo. To start the show, Samoa Joe was sat in El Jefe's office, eating, of all things, a steak. El Jefe was apologising for his and AJ Styles' methods, where they kidnapped Joe and kept him in a crate for a week, but Undertaker said that he did it for a reason. With Matanza returning to full strength and being backed up by the man of 1,000 deaths, Mil Muerte, El Jefe's back is against the wall. And he believes to fight a monster, he needs to unleash one, a stone-cold killer like Joe. And with a mouthful of steak, Joe said he wants a rematch for the Lucha Underground title. Joe lost the title to Penta before Penta picked up an injury, and Chad Gable won the vacant championship last week. El Jefe said done. So in 2 weeks on episode 20, Samoa Joe versus Chad Gable for the gold. Mil Muertes and Matanza might be the most imposing duo in wrestling history, and standing in their way were a beloved duo whose combined weight was almost around the same as each of the monsters. It didn't stop Aerostar and Elio LaFleur hitting some impactful offense, but LaFleur wasn't himself. He was suffering with some kind of survivor's guilt after Carlito sacrificed himself for Elio, and he ended up walking onto the straight to hell by Mil Muertes. Backstage, a dark-looking Rey Fenix approached Ethan Page and Chelsea Green. He was speaking to them through his teeth. He said that Dragon Lee was always the weak link in their team, and that is why they lost to the champs. Tonight in the main event, Phoenix will prove this when he beats Ethan Page one-on-one. Chelsea told the Dark High Flyer to back off, or she would spray some Page protection spray in his face. The Bird of War snarled and walked off, as Ethan Page said, "Oh, so we're allowed to spray people in the face now?" In a rare interview segment, newcomer the Pope D'Angelo Dinero was being interviewed by Kathy Kelly, and she asked him all about his new tag team he's been talking about bringing to the temple. In his charismatic way, he told Kathy that it was real simple. Part of the work he does for his congregation is to find underprivileged kids. Maybe they had a rough upbringing, fallen on some hard times, maybe money is hard to come by. He takes them off the streets, picks them up out of the mud, and shows them there's another way. This team he has were exactly that. They are young, hungry, powerful, and they will do anything not to go back there. We got fantastic trios action next. El Grande led his team like a patriotic general, while Dr. Wagner seemed to be more of a puppet master to Pagano and Psycho Clown, directing them to do his bidding. The powerful trio took it to Los Americanos well, and with the crowd fully behind them, coupled with Rayo and Bravo's sneaky lying, cheating and stealing, the momentum soon swung their way. In the end, they helped El Grande load up his mask, and he hit a flying headbutt to Pagano and scored an excellent, well-earned win. Backstage, the new Lucha Underground champion Chad Gable was in an amazing mood, and he was holding court over his friends the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile. He told them that last week was the greatest of his wrestling career, but it could have been oh so sweeter if the Creeds had captured tag team title gold too. However, since they were not the team pinned in that triple threat match, they should get a fair 2-on-2 title shot where they can throw Ethan Page's ego all around the ring. Ivy Nile then spoke up and said that she has Chelsea Green one-on-one next week so she can weaken the champs for her friends. The group laughed and high-fived together. Dragon Lee was stood backstage when he was approached by Dragunov and the legendary Rey Mysterio. Dragunov said he knows that the high-flying fan favourite is going through some stuff with his tag team partner Rey Fenix right now, but he and Rey Mysterio could really do with a guy they can trust to help them beat the cartel for the trios titles next week. He wants to hit the wealthy group where it hurts and take the gold they didn't earn. Dragon Lee said he does love gold, and after what Phoenix said about him earlier, he's in. He shook Dragunov's hand before giving the same courtesy to Rey Mysterio. Regular mariachi session band Vote Pedro were on our screens next, playing over the loud crowd like only they can. This was easily Tony D'Angelo's best outing, and he was in there against a fantastic performer in Prince Apollo of Lagos. Neither fighter was going to back down in this one, and it needed some spice on the outside of the ring to decide it in the end. Panther Ali jumped Angel Garza for getting involved constantly, and this allowed a sneak attack from Santos Escobar. Prince Apollo then got involved and ran the cartel off before climbing back into the ring and walking on to the forget about it spinebuster. Lola Vice consoled Mike Santana next, following his loss to Chad Gable last week in the Lucha Underground title match, and she said there would be other opportunities for him. Santana said he wasn't down about that, he was down because a Puerto Rican legend in Carlito gave himself to save Elio LaFleur, while he pulled Lola back. He said they could have all worked together to stop me on Muertes and Matanza. Just then, Vikingo walked up and mocked the pair of Caribbean stars, telling them that Carlito was dumb to try and stop fate like that. Lola said she'd show him who was dumb next week, and Vikingo backed down. In the back, Rey Mysterio bumped into his son Dominic. They didn't know there were so many people watching and taking pictures and videos. Things were actually nice between them both. They were as if they were general colleagues rather than father and son who had been at war for years. Rey walked away and we overheard him say that he was glad Dom was back from injury. We got a very different Rey Fenix here, and he kicked harder than ever and with more vindictiveness. Ethan Page is not usually known as someone you'd have all that much sympathy for, but here people just felt sorry for him. He was reaching out for Chelsea Green multiple times as Fenix just stayed on him and she could do nothing to help him. It was like a bird of prey toying with its catch and not doing enough to kill it. However, with the crowd fully behind him, Page fought back into it and even hit his ego's edge finisher, but he took too long to crawl into the cover. Fenix rolled under the bottom rope and dropped to the floor. Page got him back in the ring, but Fenix kicked out at 2, and it wasn't long after that the Bird of War hit a penalty kick on Page and followed it up with La Garra del Fenix. Before the show finished, we cut backstage to Muertes and Matanza, seemingly having some kind of argument, with both monsters beginning to clench, ball up their fists. But Dario Cueto arrived on the scene and calmed everybody down. He heaped praise on his monsters and told them that Phase 1 was now complete. Matanza is at full strength and they were back in the temple tonight. Mil darted his gaze to Dario and stared deep into his soul, and Dario said that yes, it was time to bring Katrina back. So, quick question, let me know in the comments. I tried out a few new graphical presentations for this episode. Did you notice them? What did you like? What did you hate? And join me next time where we see El Jefe The Undertaker and his deal with the devil that is Samoa Joe take another turn, and Dario Cueto reveals the plan to bring back Katrina. Thanks for watching. Now make sure to like, comment and subscribe for free so you don't miss an episode. It would be great to hear from you.